Alabama offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb spoke to the media after practice today and provided insight on several aspects of Alabama's 2025 offense, including how they're going to handle losing Jam Miller, tight ends, wide receivers. Let's talk about it all. Stick around. This is Way Offsides. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Cotton here with Way Offsides. Happy Tuesday. We are so close to the 2025 football season. That means that there is a ton to talk about, not just football, recruiting, all the things. Fall is going to be a crazy time, Alabama fans. So leave a big roll tide in the comment section. While you're there, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all the things. You can also follow us on social media at Way Offsides, everything, always with 4 A's. Tell them, Skip.
Way, this is all caps, W-A-A-A-A-Y, way.
Thank you, Skip. Appreciate you. We're going to jump right in. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Alabama offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. Man, I really like Ryan Grubb. I like the way he carries himself. I like the way he speaks with the media. I like how direct he is. And he was that way today, speaking with media after practice. And he had a lot to say. And we're going to break down and talk about a little bit of this, starting with tight ends. Ryan was asked specifically about the tight ends, and he had this to say. He said there's been a lot of reps for the tight ends. He talked about Caleb Edwards, the freshman, the highly touted freshman, part of their 2025 recruiting class. He said that, as a freshman, this kid is pretty physical. And he's fitting in nicely, which is pretty cool. I mean, if you've seen Caleb Edwards, he's a big body dude. So kind of cool to get that insight on him as a freshman and how he's fitting in. He talked about Jay Lindsey being an extremely versatile player where it comes to catching the ball or, putting his hand on the ground and getting in there and run blocking, pass protection, things like that. So tight end situation is a little messy for Alabama right now. I know that, there's some guys that are dinged up. And so we'll see what it looks like as they go on. But I think that there's enough depth there to where Alabama's going to be fine at the tight end position. There's good leadership in that position room with Josh Cuevas. So I feel good about it. We'll see how it looks moving forward. Now, getting into the quarterbacks, you've all likely heard about how well the quarterbacks did in the scrimmage. Coach Grubb was asked about this specifically, and he didn't hold back. He talked about all three of his quarterbacks. He said all three of them played very, very well. He talked about Keelan Russell, how they kind of got behind the sticks a little bit at the start, but things progressed nicely. Austin Mack had a couple of good throws, had a really nice touchdown drive. And he also talked about Ty Simpson, the starter. He said, look, Ty is very controlled. He's a very good distributor of the ball. Also has great discipline. He said that they tried to put Ty Simpson in positions that actually would test him. It's almost like sounded to me like they tried to even bait him to throwing the ball to the wrong place. And he did really well. I think he said he was like 14 of 16 and the 2 incompletions were drops. And so he took care of the football very, very well. Now, well before this, talking about quarterbacks, he was asked in general about the offense and what it looks like this year compared to last year. And he didn't shy away from the question, which I thought was pretty cool. And I actually really liked his answer. He said, obviously, we're not a Jalen Milroe offense right now. Jalen Milroe was a gifted athlete, a great runner. We're not going to do that. So that means that, to me, although they're going to run the ball, Alabama's not going to be a run-first offense in the sense of the quarterback position as it was back in 2025. Obviously, that was Jalen Milroe's strength. He, in some games, could be one-dimensional. You don't have that problem with Ty Simpson. So it looks like things could open up pretty well in 2025 under Ryan Grubb. That remains to be seen, but the consensus feels good about it. Now, he did talk about Jam Miller and the running backs here. This was very important. He talked about Jam Miller specifically and that how Jam has been a great leader, and he understands that what he's going through is only a temporary setback. So he's in really good spirits, helping the younger guys out on the team. Also talked to they're going to miss kind of his explosiveness and stuff. He called him a dude. And so Obviously on the field, you're going to miss Jam Miller, but like we said earlier last week in our video, you're still got the leadership from Jim Miller on the sidelines in that locker room, and that is going to pay dividends. And that sentiment was echoed by Ryan Grubb today. Now, a lot of the running back position is going to hinge on different things, right? Who's going to start? Who's this? A lot of us think it's going to be Richard Young. He wasn't asked specifically who's going to be the starting running back, but he did go through his running back room and he talked about a lot of these guys. He talked about Young, which actually was very interesting because when they asked him about Richard Young, he thought that they were talking about Richard Newton, who was a running back for Grubb and DeBoer up at Washington. But he talked about Richard Young and how he is a good finisher and a spark provider. And that he's getting better in pass protection. Now, he talked the most about Daniel Hill. He said that Daniel Hill's done a really good job in protection. He's gotten better, very physical, and he's starting to run better as fall goes on. He said the same thing about Dre. He's getting better at running, and he's getting better at pass protection and catching the ball out of the backfield. Same thing with Kevin Riley, who he talked about. But with Draylon Washington, he also said like he's not used to doing some of that with the pass protection, things like that, which makes sense, right? He was primarily used as a legitimate running back over there at Louisiana. He wasn't doing a lot of chip blocking and things like that. That's going to be the expectation at Alabama. I like the fact that Draylon Washington joined a loaded running back room because he understood to be a better back, a more versatile, well-rounded back, and to have a better shot at the league, he needs to be able to do that, and he's going to learn how to do it at Alabama. But it sounds like all the guys under him, including Kevin Riley, who most people aren't even talking about, are getting better. There's progression each and every practice, and that's what he wants to see. Now, specifically in regards to FSU, Alabama is practicing with noise. They are trying to create a disruptive environment like they'll experience when they go down to Tallahassee. He spoke to that a little bit. He said there were the typical bumps and bruises that you get with that, but it got better as practice went on today. So offensive line, false starts, we know that there's been a couple of those. I know that we have one person in our comment section who is very adamant that he feels like nothing's going to get fixed until Alabama's like these penalties clean themselves up along the offensive line. I've heard numerous stories about Ty Simpson jumping people's tail via false starts. So he did touch on that today, and it is something that they're addressing. So whoever you are, take a deep breath, hopefully find some peace in the fact that Alabama's offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, talked specifically to that, and them trying to create an environment that would lend itself to pre-snap penalties so that they can address it early on before they get down to Tallahassee. Now, in general, with the offensive line, he talked about the comfortability he has. He said he's very comfortable with this offensive line, even without Jaden Roberts in it right now. He talked about Geno Vandermark being very savvy and the leadership and the not necessarily seniority, but the experience that most of these guys on the offensive line bring with them. And he had nothing but good things to say. Now, like I said earlier in the video, I really like Ryan Grubb, and Ryan Grubb kind of strikes me as a guy who's going to give you a little bit, but not everything, but he's also not going to sugarcoat things. And I appreciate that because typically you get that normal coach speak answer. And in this sense, I feel strongly that he is in a way being critical of what he's seeing. He's talking about the mistakes. He said, like I said, with the music and the noise that they're blasting, things got better, which indicates that things weren't at one point in time during practice good. Same thing with the running backs, talking about how they're getting better and they still have some things to work on. That's good to hear instead of just fluffing our ears as fans, right? Because he knows that all of us, myself included, are going to do exactly what we're doing right here. We're going to take what he says, break it apart, talk about it, and overanalyze it and think too much into it. So that's it. That's all he had to say today. Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator at Alabama, takes the podium. Really cool guy to listen to talk. You can definitely tell he's a ball Noah. And so thanks for sticking around with us. Please, again, if you haven't, please like, subscribe, leave a like on this video, leave a big roll tide down in the comment section below. As always, you know how we do this. Say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.